The aim of education is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Knowledge helps the man to overcome nature and satisfy human wants. Educationists of the world believe in knowledge, which is valuable asset of life, which helps individuals to overcome misery and problems of life. Early education in India commenced under the supervision of a guru. The Vedas, the Puranas, and the Itihasas are the earliest form of documented scriptures. As the centuries passed by, Buddhism was born in India. Thereafter, the Mughals and then the British who came to India spread their forms of education. After India became free, the educational system has undergone a lot of change, not only in India but across the globe as science got evolved and the need for structured methodologies of disseminating technical education in scientific ways got evolved. And today, from the privileged to the common born, though there are different boards of education and coaching classes, many students simply mug up and reproduce the same. Also, students hardly have any conducive atmosphere or facility for studies, whereas today's education must develop an aspiring youngster holistically. Let us glimpse the views of teachers and students about the loopholes in Indian educational system.
Hi, my name is Santosh and I'm working for St. Aloysius Degree College as assistant professor. I'm working in this institution for a Department of Commerce and Management. I've been here for the past 3 years. I would like to share some of the loopholes in the Indian education system and what are the problems we are facing and how things are working in the system. If you see from general perspective in India, if you take metro cities, education has become so commercial and it's very expensive to afford it. If you see from a middle class perspective, a family whose husband and a wife is earning 20 or 30,000 rupees, they are finding it difficult to pay a fees of 80,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees for an LKG fees. So this is one perspective if you see from a school perspective, and if you see the standards of education, how it is working is, some of the colleges, on my personal experience, the examination standards are very substandard. That is, the standards what is being kept in the education system is very low. That is, they have a fixed pattern of examination. It is like just to see a student's how his memory is strong. It is, they have a pattern, they have a syllabus. There's nothing much exposure or something on intellectual thinking, how to analyze things. There is a question and there is a fixed pattern where the students have to memorize an answer and write it in the examination. This is one standard one of the substandards what education system at present in India we have. There's again perspective if you see from a teacher's point of view, the colleges have a strength of 80 to 100 in a classroom, which makes very difficult for a teacher or a professor to concentrate on the potential of individual students. If you see colleges, they admit more than 100-120 students in a classroom. For a teacher to manage a class, it is not difficult to manage, but the problem is a teacher is not able to concentrate on individual students' potential. We cannot extract maximum potential from the student because the crowd is somewhere 100 and the duration given to the teacher is very less. That is, we get some 55 minutes on that. So the government or an institution should be responsible enough to bring down the number of students in the classroom somewhere close to 40 to 50. So every teacher can concentrate on imparting what exactly they want to do. Teachers' perspective about their passion. If you see, every teacher or a professor gets into this profession to serve the young generation, to make the young generation better. If you see, every individual professors or teachers, everyone works for outcome than income. So our major problem what every individual is facing is monetary support from the institution, or the government should take an initiative to protect their identity or to protect their passion. That is what is important, because some of the these are all the things we need to look up, because there are a lot of youngsters who are looking up, coming to this profession, sharing their ideas and views, getting into this profession. So if you take it as a request from my side, it is very important. Every academic institution should support the people who come with passion to continue their passion in whatever terms they can. It's nice that you have come up to ask my opinions and suggestions and my experience. I appreciate your effort for doing this documentary. Thank you very much.
We as teachers, we as educators also experience the same thing in the system, as we call it today, in inverted commas. People are now questioning the system, because as you see, corruption is also beginning with the education system. Departments, all the departments for that matter, I don't know whether I should say this, but everywhere without corruption things are not moving. Yes, when it comes to bribe or things like that. So we teach our children honesty, sincerity, authenticity, faithfulness, commitment, loyalty. But when we see the things contrary outside, we begin to reflect and see whether we are really doing justice in our educational systems, whether we are really teaching, or at the most we can say, when we see the system today so corrupt, we can only say we are preparing children for this kind of a society. Nowadays, unlike our times were quite plain, simple, open, frank, transparent. Everything was like, we never knew what was that crooked way of living. But today I think we have to prepare our children, and we are doing it through various talks, sessions, assemblies and research programs and all that, even exposure, preparing children for this type of a future, this type of a world wherein things are not the way it has to be. So because they have to go into such a world, and they have to decide what is right and what is wrong. There will be no one to follow them there. They have to make a discernment. So we have to prepare them for that kind of a society and that kind of a future today.
I'm doing my post-graduation in the English in St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. When we look at the present state of our education system, shocks us deeply. The crowning defect of our education system that requires an immediate and earnest consideration is its excessive passive and mechanical character. That is, the student plays no active role in the attainment of knowledge. That is, the things are loaded to a student's brain which they cannot digest it with. That is, therefore these all act as a cramps, and a student can never become as their own. So I think that might be a reason why a student who succeeds so well in exams fails miserably in the examination of life. In my viewpoint, the present education system, it's predominantly academic and theoretical. That is, students are taught by lessons, but not the lessons from life. In other words, we can say that they are provided with knowledge, but not with wisdom. That a student who knows well about the English Council, or who knows well about the foreign affairs, might be unaware of the municipality or the simple functions of a corporation in his own or her own tongue. So what I feel is that it's really high time that our education system has to go through a radical change. That is, the education should bring about a complete as well as a harmonious development of all factors in a student's personality. Thank you.
Education system. I would first like to begin with a quote of Nelson Mandela. He says, education is the most powerful weapon, and education changes the entire world. Similarly, education is said to be the right of every citizen born in any country. I would like to first focus about the rural areas more than the urban areas and the education system. how it lacks and disturbs the basic lifestyle of every individual who lives there. Now, if you see, as per the statistics, 70% of the country's population lives in the rural areas, and there are 6,38,000 villages. And in these villages, when students go there to schools or colleges to study, they don't have the basic infrastructure facilities like the toilets, the basic things, the toilets and the drinking water. So what happens, due to this reason, there are a lot of girl children who discontinue their education because they lack certain facilities like this. And there was an act which was proposed in the year 2009 that is called as RTE, Right to Education. Every child who is between the age group of 6 to 14 should be educated. But even after certain law which was implemented like this, I don't think we are still meeting its needs, because another survey says that 60% of the schools which are existing in these villages do not have playgrounds, 30% do not have toilets, and 780 government schools are there across 18 states in the Indian country. So basically, if you see, the private sectors are focusing less towards these organizational features of schools and colleges, because the entire burden has gone to the government sector. So I think that happens to be a very big loophole. Instead of blaming somebody that they are not doing it, every sector in our democratic country should take up the initiative and educate a child.
I'm Sister Myrtle, studying my MCA in Christian College. Today I would like to share my views about the loopholes in Indian education system. Education in India is changing rapidly over the years. What we as young students have studied in the years gone by is no longer the same scenario now. Modernization and commercialization has brought in a lot of advancement in the education system. In the same way, we see that this in turn has brought a lot of pressure on young minds. Heavy assignments and lot of workload makes the students be hooked to their computer screens for long hours, and this in turn does not allow them for time of relaxation and play. They run from tuition to tuition and do a lot of exercises in studies, which does not allow them to play and have time of relaxation. We also see that the competition is so high that parents want their students, their children, to get a high percentage, and the students try for this, but at times we see that the end is what they have not expected, and this pressure leads to the students ending their lives.
I'm Jocelyn Fernandez. I'm in Bangalore preparing for my civil services. Today I'm going to give my opinion about the topic, the loopholes in the education system of India. First of all, education needs a better infrastructure. Infrastructure also has this physical needs and also the social needs which are around us. Socially, infrastructure needs good teachers, lecturers, which we India as a whole, I feel, lack into. And also the infrastructure like buildings, toilets are also a real loophole in the education system. Because of this, many people, many girls especially, because of lack of toilets, they don't opt for education just because they can't go answer their special needs in the schools. Second thing, education in India is only become a marks centric, that is your certificate centric. It is not become what you carry on to your near future, but it's just become like how many marks do you get in this sem? Do I clear this exam or no? That is the main and mere motto of education in India today, I feel. Thirdly, today if I speak to any of the student who is doing science, if I ask their opinion, and if they ask their opinion about humanities subjects such as arts and commerce, they keep a very mere opinion about it. Like in people don't want to opt their students for rather arts or also commerce. They only want their students to go forward for science, only science streams. and this is a major loophole in India because our society is science-centric, I can feel. And because of this, many engineers have come up, they have taken their career as engineers, but today they lack in their jobs. And also, we don't have any other streams to fill. Like if we go for humanities subject or even for commerce subject, there are so many subjects to opt for, so careers in that, especially like preparing for civil services, which is not known to many of the people today. Preparing for CA, which is little bit known to the people, but they leave because it's very tough and it's not worthy of it. So loopholes in India for the education, I can feel that it is merely of infrastructure, mark-centric and also science-centric. Thank you.
If India is willing to be called developed in a truly democratic manner, it should work on the aspect of educational system. Within this system, the focus should be on the basic facilities in education and equal education to all, the rich and the poor alike. Indian education should bring about a complete and harmonious development of all factors in a student's personality.